Hello, welcome back to Foods and Entertainment for my review of 1987's The Living Daylights, which is part of the James Bond collection on Blu-ray. Talk about the plot of the film, Jarrell's opinion of the film, my opinion of the film. Take a little tiny bit of time to talk about the audio and video quality of the film and to give the film a ranking. So, plot. British secret agent James Bond, played for the first time by Timothy Dalton, helps KGB officer Georgy Kossoff defect during a symphony performance. During his debriefing, Kossoff reveals that a policy of assassinating defectors has been reintegrated by the new KGB head, Pushkin. But as Bond explores this threat, a counterplot surfaces involving a shady American arms dealer and a pair of Russian assassins. Yeah. I had to have this phone, people, because I actually did try to record this video because this phone is trying to die on me. Talking about the plot, and I just couldn't find a way to make it sound right. So that's why I needed the phone. This is take number 4 actually on this. All right, that's not bad for a plot synopsis. A little bit more to the film than that, but not bad for a plot synopsis. Okay, the Real's opinion of The Living Daylights. This is one of the rare occasions where, in my opinion, and the Real's opinion actually are much in the same. And this is what the Real's opinion, especially in the Bond community, actually have to say about The Living Daylights. Timothy Dalton actually did bring his own take of James Bond to this film, being a much darker, being a much more realistic, and far more true Ian Fleming's James Bond than what you had in previous actors. But here's the issue with Living Daylights. The Living Daylights kind of at too many points in the film, and this is where, like I said, it's kind of the same opinion between me and in the world's opinion. Living Daylights just seems a little bit more like a Roger Moore James Bond movie than it does a Timothy Dalton James Bond movie, which is very unfortunate that Timothy Dalton only made 2 James Bond films, because if he would have made that 3rd James Bond film, which we all know about the script of and all that stuff, and how very interesting and different it would have been, especially with the whole idea and concept of a female cyborg robot character as a henchman of the film. With that said, you still get your Timothy Dalton dose of more realistic, more true to source material Fleming's James Bond in the movie. But everything surrounding Timothy Dalton's portrayal as James Bond in the film kind of feels more like this film was made for Roger Moore and not so much made for Timothy Dalton. That kind of makes sense, and that's kind of what the Real says about this film as well. With that said, though, I also share this. The Real loves The Living Daylights, and so do I. This is a great James Bond film, and when I actually go back to more time and time again, this is a random James Bond film I put in that I really do enjoy. Now let's talk about the picture quality and audio quality of the Blu-ray disc. This is definitely a 1980s Metro color looking movie, much like you had with For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. This kind of follows the same thread of kind of looking like a product of its time in terms of video. Now, what Metro color kind of did versus, say, digital film, which is kind of what we had, grainy, warm temperature digital film in the 90s, is you actually had that really cool balance of 35 millimeter film look, film stock type of look of the movie, mixed in with kind of a more commercial looking neutral colors put into the film. That's kind of how I would define neutral color, which is kind of what they were using throughout the 1980s and all the 1980s James Bond films. This one, including the last one, and of course the last few, were made in the 80s, all kind of represent that. Now, the audio quality. This film was in your typical Dolby stereo, ultra stereo, Dolby stereo special recording surround sound presentation that you had in the 80s. So that being remixed into a 5.1 detached HD master audio sound presentation kind of reflects that in all of this interesting sound that you had in the era of the 80s. But it is very good. You actually will get a lot of good use out of all the speakers. Now, to get the film a ranking, I give, and this is very interesting, this is very, very interesting, but I actually will be giving Living Daylights, and everybody knows me in real life, especially, that when it comes to James Bond, I prefer James Bond being as faithful as he can to the source material. But with that said, just like the World's opinion, in my opinion, which kind of are very tight together, I cannot get this film a 4-star ranking. I'm going to give this film a 3-star ranking because I don't think it's a bad movie at all by any standards or any way possible. I will not consider this film a bad movie. I think it's a great film. I just don't think it's a perfect film. So I'm giving this a 3-star rating, which means it's a great film. And that's, like I said, it's because this film feels like it was made for Roger Moore. It doesn't feel like it was made for Timothy Dalton. The darker, more gothic, a little too serious, a little too realistic, and way ahead of his time, which is very funny considering the fact that the latest James Bond, which is Daniel Craig, is basically an even more sinister version of Timothy Dalton's version of James Bond. But in 1980s, we were not prepared for that. And so, yes, The Living Daylights gets a 3-star ranking. That said, don't let that discourage you. This is a great James Bond film, and I suggest you definitely take a look at it, and I'll see you next time.